Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jason, for the kind introduction, and thank you to Chairman Kassar and the County Conservative Party chairs that are here, activists, other elected officials from around the state. Appreciate everybody being here today. It's energizing to be around so many conservatives and to talk about the issues facing our nation and state. Come to think of it, from the incredible honor of seeing President Trump sworn in and attending his and Vice President Vance's inaugural balls, meeting with and speaking with President Trump, both in the Oval Office and at Mar-a-Lago recently, about providing real tax relief for New Yorkers by lifting the cap on salt and repealing Kathy Hochul's congestion pricing scam, and being with President Trump and my GOP colleagues at the House Republican Issues Conference this past week at his resort in Miami. I don't think I've spent more than 5 minutes with a liberal in a month. It's been awesome. It's like political Lent for conservatives. No Schumer and no AOC for 40 days. By the way, is Chuck Schumer not a putz? Oh my God. Holding a Corona bottle and an avocado. And meanwhile, today, Mexico folded. So, in all seriousness, this is a great time for America, especially after what we endured for the past 4 years under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. President Trump has hit the ground running with the most aggressive first few weeks of any presidency in modern history. President Trump is making America safe again by taking bold action to secure our border and once and for all cracking down on sanctuary states like New York. President Trump is making America affordable again by working with Congress to extend and broaden the Trump tax cuts and pledging his support to our efforts to lift the cap on salt. President Trump is making America energy dominant again by bolstering domestic energy production and getting rid of absurd vehicle and home appliance mandates and restoring consumer choice. President Trump is reining in the size and cost of government by empowering DOJ to identify waste, fraud, abuse, and inefficiencies, and by making every federal worker return to the office 5 days a week. And President Trump is putting America and its values first again by ending the weaponization of government against political rivals and undoing the un-American DEI policies that have infected federal agencies and the federal workforce and our schools. Folks, under President Trump, a Republican Senate, and a Republican House, we are truly committed to delivering a new golden age for America, and New York conservatives are helping lead the way. As for the reaction of our friends on the other side of the aisle, well, it's been predictable, to say the least. The late, great William F. Buckley Jr. said it best when he noted, quote, "Liberals claim to want to give a hearing to other views, but then are shocked and offended to discover that there are actually other views." Listen, I'm well aware that in a very divided House of Representatives, it will require finding common ground on common sense solutions with Democrats who are willing to put what's best for America ahead of their party. Now, that's not just a talking point for me. I've actually done it, working with common sense Democrats, and yes, there are a few, to combat anti-Semitism on college campuses and beyond, to demand the repeal of cashless bail and clean slate laws here in New York, and to block Governor Hochul's hostile takeover of local zoning laws intended to turn the suburbs in upstate New York into major cities and use the power of government to further entrench Democratic power here in New York. That proven record and the ability to raise more money than any freshman Republican in the entire House helped me become one of only 3 Republican members of Congress out of 435 to win re-election in a congressional district also won by Vice President Harris this November. Make no mistake, to defeat Kathy Hochul and elect more Republicans and conservatives in 2026 up and down ballot and up and down the state, we are going to need to unite behind a bold, clear, and optimistic message of cutting taxes and reducing the cost of energy so you can keep more of what you earn. We must increase domestic production of energy, including right here in New York. From nuclear to solar, tidal, and wind, every energy source must be on the table, including natural gas, which has helped reduce carbon emissions 60% greater than renewables over the last 2 decades, and is accountable for generating more than 70% of electricity nationwide. In short, we must drill, baby, drill. Now, reining in government spending and right-sizing state government is critical. Since Kathy Hochul took office, she has increased state spending by over $61 billion in just 4 years. And she is now proposing to increase it by another $10 billion. And yet she can't find any money for the MTA. She puts forth a congestion pricing scam that is nothing more than grabbing the hard-earned tax dollars of New Yorkers and pissing it away on an entity that is the worst-run authority in America. The MTA carries more debt than 80% of the states in the country. Think about that. A single transit authority carries more debt than 80% of the states in the country. That is truly mind-boggling. Now, growing the economy in every corner of our state and giving our children and grandchildren a reason to stay and build a better life here is essential. And the quality of life matters, which is why we have to crack down on crime, ending the disastrous cashless bail law, standing with our police, ending lawfare and the egregious abuse of power by folks like Tish James and Alvin Bragg, and putting the rights of law-abiding citizens first. We have to end the woke indoctrination in our schools and expand educational options for college track students and those who want to learn a trade. We need an all-of-the-above approach to education, including public schools, charter schools, private schools, religious schools, and vocational schools. Just last week, the most recent National Assessment of Education Progress scores came out, and we hit new lows. 40% of fourth graders nationwide are reading below basic levels, and roughly 1/3 of eighth graders are below basic levels. And what is New York's solution? Throw more money at it and hope that solves the problem. Except in New York, as is often the case, the more money we spend, the worse the problem gets. It has to change. And we need to do what President Trump did and what I have done in every election I've run and won in 2-to-1 Democratic districts. We must commit to making the case for conservative change to every man and woman in every city, town, and village in the state, inclusive of Democrats and independents. If we do that, if we lay out the case to New Yorkers, nothing is impossible. We can win again. And if we win, we will save New York State. Now, that same spirit and tenacity was shared by a small group of men and women in 1962 who formed this conservative party. They were intent on providing the voters of New York State with a principled platform and a meaningful choice that differed from the increasingly liberal ideology that dominated the state. Sound familiar? In the 63 years since, the New York State Conservative Party has stood steadfast in support of individual freedom and individual responsibility, from scratching and clawing for relevancy in row F, from playing an integral role in electing conservatives to every level of government across the state, earning row C on the ballot, electing James Buckley to the U.S. Senate, and being a driving force in electing Governor Pataki 3 times as our governor. In recent years, the Conservative Party line has delivered over 300,000 votes statewide for Lee Zeldin and President Trump. And as a point of personal thanks, which I will never be able to repay, in 2022, with the support of Chairman Kassar and my county Conservative Party chairs, all of you delivered 17,812 votes to a freshman assemblyman from Rockland County named Mike Lawler. And with your support, I won. And with your support, I won just 8 by 1,820 votes, pulling off a historic upset against the chair of the DCCC, Sean Patrick Maloney. And this year, with the Conservative Party support, we won by almost 24,000 votes. Now, speaking of Chairman Kassar, I want to take a few minutes to recognize all that Jerry has meant to this party and our state, and to young conservatives like me who would not be here without him. We all know Jerry's story of coming up through the ranks, schooled by the late, great Chairman Mike Lawler. But arguably, Jerry's finest moment, and there have been plenty of them, was not winning an election. It was beating back Andrew Cuomo's corrupt attempt to kill the Conservative Party by forcing it off the ballot. When faced with a governor drunk on power, determined to destroy his enemies and consolidate control, Jerry Kassar and many of you in this room didn't run away. You stood up, you fought, and you won. And the people in this room helped to weaken and eventually take down Andrew Cuomo. And now Kathy Hochul is next. Now let me be clear. Kathy Hochul is a feckless and failed governor who must be defeated in 2026. Because if we don't, I am not sure that the New York State we love, which is already teetering on the brink, can survive another 4 years. Another 4 years of the highest taxes and highest cost of living in the country, which is why we continue to lead the nation in outmigration. We all know people are not leaving New York because of the weather. Another 4 years of sanctuary state policies that put the interests of criminal, illegal immigrants ahead of hardworking, law-abiding citizens. Another 4 years of spending billions of dollars we don't have on a bloated government we don't need. Another 4 years of dangerous cashless bail laws that coddle criminals, disrespect police, and put our communities at risk. Another 4 years of watching good-paying jobs abandon upstate New York, bankrupting communities, and leaving people hopeless. And another 4 years of a corrupt, arrogant, inept state government that fundamentally believes it knows best, and we, the people, are just here to do as they tell us. Folks, it needs to end, and the people in this room need to lead the way. And with that, let me address the elephant in the room. Am I allowed to say that at a conservative conference? The torch in the room. In all seriousness, it's no secret that I am looking at running for governor. And I'm giving it considerable thought, along with my wife, Doina, who's home with our 2 young daughters, Juliana, who's almost 3, and Elizabeth, who is 3 months old. She was born 8 days before the election. We've really planned that very well. Look, I've been around this a long time. I've served in nearly every possible capacity in politics, from a driver and a scheduler, to executive director of the state party, to running statewide campaigns, to being a consultant and a lobbyist, to serving in elected office myself. I know that any campaign will be long, it will be brutal, it will be expensive. I am not in the least concerned about losing anything, whether it be an election or the job I currently hold. The reason to run is because this state is in dire need of leadership, of strength, of a willingness to push back against the insanity that has destroyed this state. And I understand how tough it will be. But the reality is you get nowhere in life unless you're willing to take risk and you're willing to stand up for what is right. And so I don't have an announcement today, but I can say to you that over the coming weeks and months, I look forward to talking to each and every one of you about what a campaign would look like and how we win, and that we make sure that 2026 is Kathy Hochul's last year as governor as we kick her ass out of the mansion. Together we can win, and if or when we do, we will put New York first again. Thank you, and God bless you all.